When asked what makes someone a strong applicant for a professional school, most people will default to grades and, if required, exam scores. And while strong academic and exam performance are certainly an important part of the admissions process, being a competitive and compelling applicant requires much more than that. Profession schools and the healthcare careers they lead to hold expectations for applicants that are comprised of several competency areas. The advising team at PPHC surveyed faculty, administrators, and staff directly involved in the competitive admissions processes at professional schools across the state, country, and beyond. Professional organizations and application services were also reviewed for relevant competencies models. The result of all this research was 15 specific elements, ranging from the more commonly understood to those that are often overlooked, but can have significant ramifications if absent from an applicant's profile. At Texas Tech University, pre-health students are continuously cultivating these competencies, whether they are in the classroom, getting involved on campus, giving back in their communities, or engaging with their chosen professional fields. And as elements at the top of the table, these 4 activities usually shape most students' approaches to preparing to apply to their desired health professions programs, so much so that we refer to them as the 4 goals. If the professional schools a student applies to require a specific entrance exam, then preparing for and planning to take that exam will also be a significant feature of being pre-health. It is important to understand, however, that most experiences along a pre-health pathway will influence a student's proficiency across multiple competencies. And there is, in fact, always more than one way to develop any given element. Just as with real-world chemistry and the actual periodic table, the elements of competitive and compelling are not usually seen in isolation, on their own. Instead, they are most often combined in fascinating and sometimes confusing ways, unique to that individual pre-health student. In the end, each applicant will stand on the merits of their own qualifications and experiences, and professional schools want to see students who fully understand themselves, the realities of their chosen profession, and the fit between the two. The elements of competitive and compelling can help an applicant demonstrate those understandings. While some of the elements can be measured numerically or understood as a yes or no, did I do this or not proposition, the best way to think of these elements is how they will be represented throughout the many opportunities available in the competitive admissions process. This table of elements is not a checklist, however. From application essays, personal statements, and other written or filled out documents, to in-person or online answers to interview questions and scenarios, the elements should be used to guide choices made every step of the way. And just like the periodic table of chemical elements, the elements at the top of this table are more common. Every applicant will have taken the prerequisite courses and have a GPA. Every applicant will have completed the required entrance exam, or they should have. Most applicants understand that they need to be active on campus, do community service, and connect with their profession. But that's usually where they stop. The elements at the bottom of the table, however, like the actual periodic table, are less common. They can also carry more weight, be more difficult to discover, and often require more effort and caution when handling them. But what we heard here at PPHC from those directly involved in the competitive admissions process was that far too few applicants fully understood what all was being evaluated when they applied to professional schools. We heard that the students who were most likely to be admitted, those most likely to get a yes, were applicants who were not only competitive, but also compelling. That's why we chose those 2 words specifically. And we heard that far too many students focus just on their GPAs and their exam scores. The applicants who were most successful in the competitive admissions process for professional programs and schools were those who, yes, take care of business in the classroom, but also make the most of every opportunity outside of it as well. So being pre-health at Texas Tech University means always preparing for that next step on the journey to becoming a healthcare professional. The elements of competitive and compelling serve as a framework for thinking about building an application profile that is most likely to succeed in the admissions process for health professions programs. Watching the rest of the videos in this series, where we select one element at a time to examine more closely, is a great way to begin developing these elements, to refresh and reset your thinking about them, and to prepare for a pre-health advising appointment. If you have any questions whatsoever about the elements of competitive and compelling, be sure to contact your pre-professional health careers advisor today.